Here's a big story in AI this past week. The Trump administration is launching AI.gov. They're hoping to launch it on July 4th. I hope they hit it. I just want to dig into this a little bit for those who've been frustrated by the government. This is a project being led by a Tesla engineer by the name of Thomas Shed, who's leading the team. And the idea is, can the government use AI across federal agencies, the GSA, DOT, FDA, DOE, FAA, all of these agencies, which have been, sublinear in their existence at best. And let's chat a little bit about this. So GSA, right, which is General Services Administration, it buys everything for the government. They could use AI to optimize procurement, get vendor performance, automate contract analysis, really eliminate fraud. DOT is going to be predicting flight delays, analyzing real-time vehicle data, helping support infrastructure like roads and bridges in advance. Wouldn't it be great if they could predict where the potholes are and get those fixed? Mm-hmm. DOE about optimizing grid ops, forecasting demand and supply. The FAA, we're going to see a story on this about automated drone traffic management, weather avoidance. I mean, just, as a pilot, the FAA's air traffic control system is a bloody, 1950s mess. And then, of course, we've spoken about the FDA using AI to enhance drug device approvals, faster clinical protocols, optimizing food safety. I mean, if there's one part of the world that needs optimization with AI, it's the government.
Yeah, we have a great roadmap for how this works too. I think Palantir and AWS, because everyone was worried about, how is the government going to interact with cloud computing? There's a huge privacy issue here. And is the government going to start building their own data centers and build their own cloud? And obviously they don't know how to do that. Mm-hmm. So then Palantir and AWS set up secure clouds, private clouds for the government. And that became the roadmap. So now with AI, it's like, well, I obviously can't take all my government documents, tax returns and everything and dump them into Gemini or into ChatGPT. Like, how's that going to work? So now if
and
the
just
big AI companies
people
are smart,
why you shouldn't do that, why you can't do that.
Well, first of all, there's no compartmentalization, so it gets pooled into the training data with everything else. Everyone asking about what time's a soccer game gets pooled in with someone's tax return, goes into the training data. Then somebody else who queries ChatGPT says, hey, what do Peter Diamandis' taxes look like? And it just answers. So that's not going to work. So yeah, all kinds of concerns like that. But it's going to be figured out in the private sector, and it's going to be sold to the government as compartmentalized AI modules. There's a lot of questions around whether departments can pool information and share their AI. So those are really tricky conversations, but I guarantee none of the ideas are going to come from the government out. What'll happen is mandates will come out. This is what the state of New York just did. The governor of New York said, you know what? We need a gigawatt of nuclear power. Okay, any ideas on how to do that? No. I'm just saying, make it happen. And then every private sector genius can propose a way to do it, and then they'll just approve one of them, and that's how it'll happen. So the same will happen with AI here. So hopefully the big AI companies are aggressive in building up their government services operations, or they bless some other third party, like a Palantir type or a new startup, to go and become that entity. But that's the only way this can actually happen. And God knows we desperately need it, right? AI can solve so many government problems so quickly.
Yeah. Salim, you've been working with governments around the world with your EXO hat on. Speak to this, please.
I have so much to say here. Okay, 3 quick points. One, note that most government processes are prescriptive. And the minute you have a prescriptive, repetitive process, you can apply AI to it and totally change the game. So I think that's a huge area. Second, about a few years ago, I was asked to give a talk at the Republican National Leadership Convention. And the title of my talk was going to be, how do you drop the cost of government by 10x? And you could do it easily using some of these technologies, blockchain, AI, et cetera, et cetera. The third point, I'll give a specific example. If you were applying for a wind turbine approval in, I think it was in Colorado, it was taking like 2 years or 3 years to get approval for that, right? And then they brought in a programmer who put in on a Google Maps, where are the electrical mains, where are the water mains, what are the flight paths? And they were able to reduce that 2-year approval time to 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And that's just the smallest example of how you can do this across the board. And we've mentioned some of these already. It's going to be a game changer. I'm so excited about the potential government applications of this.